Hello, this topic is about college football and college sports realignment issues. This year, a lot of big moves been made. We have the earlier this year, we had the RAC conference announced Southern Utah, Lamar, Abilene Christian, um, Sam Houston State, and Stephen F. Austin University will join them as full members starting this fall. Plus, football only, they announced Central Arkansas, Eastern Kentucky, and Jacksonville State, who also joined the ASUN this year. And this yesterday, Austin P State announced that they're leaving Ohio Valley Conference to join the ASUN. The four ASUN schools that UCA, Jacksonville State, Austin P State, and Eastern Kentucky would join North Alabama and Kennesaw State that plays football in the Big South, but they now could sponsor football in A-Sun Conference. Now, the biggest kicker was Hartford University announced that they're dropping from Division One to Division Three in a few years. Then the Big 12 lost their two biggest members, Oklahoma and Texas, leaving for the SEC conference in 2025. And then after that, the Big 12 announced that BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and Central Florida would join them. And then the news is that the Big 12 may expand to 14 teams if OU and Texas leave early. The top two teams that they're looking at with the best football performance on the field with the best records recently is Boise State and Memphis. There's no way they could get any other schools out of the other Power 5 conference like Pac-12 or all that. So they have to go with the best that they can. Some people say Memphis and Boise State don't have the academics. I disagree because they're ranked on Carnegie level research at level 2, which is R2 to them. It's on the same level as TCU, BYU, and Baylor for both Boise State and Memphis. So they're up there. Boise State, about 10 years ago, was level 4, not even in research. But they've been building on their academics big time growth. Since Boise State is now considered like the flagship university in the state of Idaho by an independent newspaper. But the Board of Education in Idaho stripped the flagship status from Idaho University against Idaho's university leadership protests. The thing is that with the academics situation in Idaho, they Moscow is very small and it's not a big enough town for research and that to grow in. That's why all that is being moved into Boise, the city of Boise. Now, in the future, Chicago State said that they're announced that they're leaving Iraq. So far, there's no conference to accept them, so they're going to be independent for all sports. Now, if we look at the rumors of who's going and not going, you have Boise State and Memphis, I already mentioned. Now, AC became very weak and fall behind Mountain West Conference. There's no way they're going to grab any Mountain West Conference teams because AAC's unstable right now. Because SMU, South Florida, Memphis, all looking like they want to leave as well. Now, with that said, AAC needs to go after schools that have better football performance to get back up to Mountain West Conference. Let's take a look at, since the Mountain West Conference is off the table, let's take a look at the other conferences. Conference USA. I've looked at that conference, but a lot of them have poor records the past 10 years. The only one that might be consistent is Texas San Antonio. Wise don't cut it. Baseball alone won't bring money into the AAC conference. So they have to look elsewhere for that. And Marshall, I'm sorry, but you're in a small market and you have some years below 500 performers. And you don't make enough strong case to get into the AAC yet. Until you get more years of winning, I don't think Marshall will be able to get into the AAC. Southern Miss used to be part of the schools that's in the AAC, but they've fallen off big time once all their rivals left them behind. UAB, I don't think nobody trusts UAB, especially after the Alabama University of Alabama Board of Regents to have them forced to drop their football team. And I don't think UAB would make it in there. FAU and FIU, you need to build more. And I'm sorry, nobody in there deserves to be in AAC yet. Now let's go into the MAC. There's 3 schools that AAC could target that have very good football records and probably basketball if you think about University of Ohio. Yeah, they're very good in football and they're very good in basketball. You have Toledo. They're very good in football. And then you have Buffalo, whose rise in football and their basketball team, they are an AAU school, just like Rice. Buffalo would be much better in the AAC than Rice is right now. Now, let's take a look at the independents. Uh, Liberty might be the only one to have the money and to get in there, but I think there's a lot of controversy with Liberty to get them into the AAC, and and they're the ones that other conferences that don't want to get in them in. It's like nobody wants to touch Baylor right now after their scandal. Nobody wants to touch. They want to touch with BYU with their um, issues with expelling rape victims from their campus, which denied them from joining the Big 12 in 2016. UMass, they have some pretty good basketball, but their football needs to be worked on more. They would be better if they stayed in the MAC to build their team up. UConn, you have pretty good men's and women's basketball, but you used to have very good football, and then you decided to, and UConn decided to spend more money in basketball than invest it in the football to keep them up. So they're out. Sun Belt Conference have three schools that might go to the AAC. Appalachian State, they're the one winning the records right now. Troy University, they've been very good in football. Like those who are very good in football. Arkansas State, they're very good in football too. So they may be best to go up to the AAC. Now, there's talk that the RAC and ASUN conferences want to sponsor FBS football by 2025. If they can grow more schools and get more schools into their conference, I could see them getting there. Um, Gonzaga has been talking about with them and St. Mary's, California, could go to the Mountain West Conference. Which football schools that they think of going? UTEP might be good to go into the Mountain West because they're an outlier in West Texas. They're more like close to New Mexico than anybody else in Conference USA. Um, Montana and Montana State both could go to the Mountain West Conference. Another two that could go into the Mountain West Conference is North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Both been winning records. Those two could also be invited to the AAC as a pair. With that said, those two could be very good to help regain AAC strong into football with the Mountain West Conference. Now we have like Missouri State. After loss of all the other schools, I think Missouri State probably want to get out of there as well because they would like to be with Wichita State. Their football ain't that good, but their basketball, it could help boost the AAC up. Uh, Rumors that Belmont wants to join the Southern Conference. Could they get there? Don't know. With with the Ohio Valley Conference and Southland Conference crumbling, we don't know where everybody's going. Nittany State, where are they going? They're the only best Southland Conference school left that's been very good in football and that. Could they go anywhere? We don't know. There's rumors that Western Illinois will leave the Summit and Missouri Valley Football Conference to join Ohio Valley Conference. I think the brakes are held on them from going. Why would you want to join a conference that lost four of its members? You could lose like two or three more members. North Carolina A&T. Yes, they're HBCU. Their athletic director wants was saying a few years back that he's interested that their school could go FBS. That would be a first for HBCU to join the higher ranks in football. They could go the route with Liberty, move all their Olympic sports into ASUN and join FBS football as an independent. A couple of years back, they did upset UNLV. Tennessee State, they they play in a couple of venues. One is in the Pearl Stadium in the Tennessee Titans and their own. If they go to FBS, they could play major games in the Titans Stadium, which could help them grow their program. Uh, Grand Canyon U and California Baptist and Seattle University. If Gonzaga and St. Mary's gone, those three could be moving into the WCC conference. Um, Let me see. Delaware, they're an R-run school. If if James Madison U goes, they'll go with them as a pair. They and it would be nice to see rematch of Delaware versus Michigan games. Stony Brook. Yes, they need to add 3,000 more seats to their stadium to reach the 15,000 limit to be join the FBS, but they're they've been looking at going to FBS for a while. If they can't get, and they could also play like in Yankee Stadium against major colleges like Penn State and that. Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio's been wanting to get into the Big East for so long, but they've been kept out by Xavier. Their AD about around 2008, 2009 mentioned that if they can't get into Big East, they're going to look at upgrading their choices. That's include going to FBS and scholarship. If that could happen, they could find themselves in a conference like AAC that quickly. Same with VCU. They were looking at adding football, and they were on the short list in 2016 with Dayton to join. Chattanooga coach just laid a hint a few weeks back. They're happy in Southern Conference, but with the tide changing around college realignment, they they said they would move for a bigger piece of the pie. Murray State is rumored to want to be go joining the Missouri Valley Conference, but the private schools in the Missouri Valley Conference have been dragging their feet so long. Would Murray State look at joining a Sun? That's a good question there. Um, West Texas A&M, they may be the 16th team if the Pac or the RAC can't find a Division One school that will join it. There's a Division Two school in Oklahoma that's been spending upgrading their facilities. And one of their plans that I saw on their website for a 20,000 seat football stadium. What was the plan for the 20,000 seat stadium for? Could they look at joining FBS down the road? We don't know. We could probably place them somewhere around Conference USA down the line. They have pretty good football, and they're in a major market in Oklahoma. And let me see, Northern Iowa, back in 2012, the AD said they want to go to FBS. They've been looking for a conference that would accept them. Nobody would. With everything changing around, Northern Iowa could be an option too. Same as Southern Illinois, Illinois State, Indiana State. The Missouri Valley Conference, I think, just like the CAA conference, I believe the public and private schools have been disagreeing way too much for their goals. They're going to head down the same path as the old Big East, where the Catholic Seven broke off and we got the AAC form. If we see that, we may see major movement there. Any other schools that want to move up? Albany in New York might want to move up. Augusta, Georgia, and Columbus State have been looking to move up. West Florida, um, Valdosta State, West Georgia, and the list could go on and on. I think the biggest issue that's been going around for this major change is because now the student athletes, not just in Division One, F or FB, FCS, or Division Two, Division Three, NAIA, or NJCAA, it's going to wind up that the players will be paid. A lot of the students that do work study program in university don't get scholarships and that. They get Pell Grants and that to cover their costs. And I don't think it's right that players get paid because they already got the scholarship, room and board, and all that. While they're not going to get the debt like the regular students do, it can't be fair. And it's not fair for non athletes to rack up debt and not get the full scholarships like the players do. And with that said, I'll, I'll leave that off for another topic to talk about. With that said, that's the end of the realignment news and the and rumors that's going around. I'll see you on the next video.